Greetings folks, I'm on PokerStars and I'm going to show you a few things that I do with Pokertracker 4, particularly using the HUD to decide on a game that I want to play in, and then to get some information about the players that I'm playing against to try and get a bit of an edge using their heads up display. So the first thing I'm going to do is have a look at some entry level tables and see what the opportunities are for me on those tables to have a little bit of a competitive advantage before I start the game. I'm looking for players that I know something about, and also tables where some of the players don't have a dominating position already that will impact on my ability to do well. So I'm choosing where I want to play based on what's going on the tables. You'll see that there are colours against some of the players. That lets me know that I've played against those players before and taken some notes about them. Yellow means I don't know yet. Green, there we've got a fish. Here we've got a tight aggressive player. Here we've got a regular player, but they're not actually playing at the moment. Let's go and check out this table. So I'm just going to log on to that table, which happens on a different screen, and then we'll set up and start playing. I'm going to move the notes over to the side there, mainly because it's easier to see up there and because it interferes with the information that's on the heads up display. You'll see that the heads up display's already got some information there, but that's actually not from this game, it's actually from this game but not from the positions, because I've pre-selected that I like to play from the bottom of the table. Makes it easy for me to remember where I am when it's my turn to play. So we'll just let that settle after that first hand, maybe second hand. I'm not going to play in this hand, and hopefully the heads up display, that's this part, will come right shortly and reflect the right people in the right places. So we'll just wait for this to continue. In fact, I'll just pause so I'm not wasting your time, and as soon as everything's in the right place, I'll be back. So we're back, and not a great hand for me, so I'm not going to participate in this. We'll just have a look around. We've got Porco over here, who I've got as a tight regular, but they're not playing. This Ace guy, looks like there's some information there. His 3-bet range is Ace-Ace. I'm really not interested in that. Who wouldn't have Ace-Ace in their 3-bet range? This person I've played 278 hands with, or I've seen for that level, and I've got him coloured red because he's a tight aggressive. So effectively he doesn't play a lot of hands, but if he's in a good hand, he's going to play pretty tough. This person up here I've noted as being a fish, and if I have a look at those stats of VPIP of 19 to 6, what that's actually telling me is that they're basically a tight passive fish or a tight passive player. I might just add that in there because I've got enough hands there, I think, to be reasonably confident that that's the case. The more stats you've got on a player, the more you'll know about them, and a lot of people that are poker coaches will in fact tell you that you need at least 100 hands to even start thinking you know something about a player, because they might be playing multiple tables, they might be playing a particular way because of things that have happened on the table before you got there. So you can't necessarily guarantee that you have good information. It's a constant learning exercise. So I'm looking reasonably good here. I'm going to go for a half pot bet because I've got a really good open-ended flush draw, even though the straight isn't great. So I'll see whether anyone else thinks that we've got a good hand. But if I'm lucky enough to get the flush, that's going to be a nut flush, because then I've got the ace. So I beat everything. I want callers. I'd rather lose the hand than have a tiny little nitty pot. That's not looking great for me. So this player, who I don't know anything about, has done very little. I'm going to put in a reasonable sized bet, just under half a pot. If someone's got queens, if this person who I said was a type passive fish, there you go, they didn't have anything. This person, like I said, we don't know anything about them. If they've got queens and I don't draw another heart, I'm in trouble. Or they might just reluctantly fold, which I'm hoping they do right now. No, they're going to call. But look at that, I've drawn myself a nut flush, and there's no, sorry, nut straight, and there's no flush there. So I'm going to go in and put in again a half pot bet, and hopefully they've got something good enough that isn't a full house. And I'd expect that they wouldn't have a full house because they should have raised against me previously if that's the case. They're going to call, they're going to muck, and I've just earned myself 95 cents out of the first hand I've played in this table. That's pretty nice. So, look at that. We've got another interesting hand coming up. I don't tend to be aggressive on the big blind, but ace king has got to be something that I'm going to play at. But I'm going to slow play, but I'm in no matter what. There we go. So we're going for that. Not looking great. I've got both ends of a straight, but highly unlikely. So let's see who we're playing against. This guy that folded to us before, he might want to actually be aggressive with us. And this person, what do I know about them? They're pretty unpredictable by the look of it. And looking at those stats, they're a fairly regular player. Previously I've said I don't know anything about the player. I don't want to limp in. Bet again, I'm hoping they haven't got anything, especially a 5, and that ace high might be good enough. If it isn't, that's fine. Yes, it was good enough, and I've got my second one of the game. This next one I'm going to fold. So here we've got this person that I've got a type as a fish. This person, ace 7 is in their range, ace 7 offsuit. That's pretty loose. Their stats were looking like a regular player, and I'm going to go and call them a reg with a question mark, because they're playing a few more hands than I'd expect from a reg. I'd expect them to be under 30, but they're also pretty aggressive, having raised pre-flop 17% of the games that they've played. 5 out of 30, it's not a lot to really have a decent statistic. I'm also going to go in here with the data that PokerStars gives me. I'm going to go Alt-A for all, Alt-C for copy, and save that information. I'm then going to add that to my notes, Control-V, and save that just to remind myself that the range is reasonably wide. I'd expect a lot of people to play ace suited, but ace rag offsuit where there's no chance of a straight or anything else is not as high as I would expect. I like to play off the button, but I don't like the cards. We'll wait and see what this person's going to do. If they raise or bet, I'll fold. If they limp or fold, I'll bet, because there's always a possibility, there we go, of stealing blinds. But this person I've also got as a regular, Also tight regular. This person I know nothing about. He's called me. I've got absolutely nothing. I'm going to check this out because he did call me, and I've shown weakness, and I'm happy to let him take a few chips off me. Not going to play the next hand, so let's have a look around what we do know. So this person I've got as a tight regular player. That's the only information I've got on them. PokerStars is offering, is the opposite to this other person, that they limped and called a raise with the ace-7 suited. That was the person I saw before. They had the ace-ace. So that's good information. At this stage, that's telling me that they've got middling range. I'm going to chuck that in there, and you'll see that's automatically gone yellow, and yellow is actually a colour that I use for not being sure yet about that particular player. Even though I've got 25 hands of history, 29-8, that puts them in fish territory. In fact, I think I'm going to say type as a fish with a question mark. Just the home button there, TPF question mark. This person I don't know anything about, and I haven't got enough hands, so I'm just going to paint them yellow. This guy's just joined the table. I'm going to look and see whether they're playing. There we go, they're playing 4 different tables. So that tells me they're a grinder, and I've painted them purple, because being a grinder, their play could be unpredictable, given that it could be influenced by what they're doing on other tables. So they could come across nitty, and you think that they're not a strong player, so you treat them like that, and then they surprise you. This one I don't know enough about yet. Again, I'll just have a look and see whether they're playing. Look at that, they're playing 6 different tables. So again, I can mark them as a grinder, and we'll reserve our opinion on whether they're a good player or not. The fact that they're playing so many games means that they're probably playing premium hands. And someone, I can't remember whether it was Sky Matsuhashi from smartpokerstudy.com or someone else, said that playing multiple tables is a good way of having discipline, that you don't play too many hands, because you really can't afford to. Okay, we've got 9 black just arrived there, 9 black 3, and I've got grinder but playing very nitty. And last time I played them, their fold to pre-flop raise was 97%. That's now reduced to 71%, which is still pretty tight. And 21-8, that's still pretty nitty. Let's see how many tables they're playing. Truckloads. So that may be why they're playing nitty. No, not interested. And I haven't looked at this guy either. He's also playing multiple tables. So I said before I didn't know much about him. Now we know some more about him. He's actually playing pretty loose. Called with Queen 3 suited from the blinds. Sometimes we just protect our blinds, and that doesn't necessarily mean anything. But we'll record it because we can, and I don't need to say that they're a grinder because I know from the colour that they're a grinder. I don't really care with grinders how many tables they're playing, just that they're playing a lot of tables. So this table's actually changed quite a lot, the colour of the table, because suddenly I'm playing against 4 grinders and 2 regular players. That means that I've got to play pretty well to be successful on this table, and I may even want to make a decision as to whether I want to stay on the table or not. The main thing is that I know that I'm playing against players that are mostly going to play premium hands, but they may not be the type of player that I want to go against. On the other hand, if I've got a premium hand and they have two, but I've got a better premium hand, I've got a good chance of winning a big pot. And ultimately, at this level of the game, that's the only thing I want, really. I'm not interested in winning blinds. I'm not interested in winning 1 cent or 2 cents. I'm interested in winning hands like that first one where I won, was it 97 cents? So pretty much 50% return on investment from that first game. So I'm going to have to really pay attention here and see what the other players are doing. We've got that fish, type passive fish, who's bet in early position. Good chance he's got something. I've got a reg ahead of me. I'm going to fold, and this is that ace-7 off, which really isn't a great hand if you consider there are only 3 more aces out of the 52 cards. Chances are it'll pop up, but no, there you go. Didn't give me any assistance whatsoever. It was a good fold. There's information I had over here again. No, I didn't seen that before. Called 3 bets with king 10 off. That's not a great hand to call on either, so I think we'll keep that. Save that information, and I'll put that in there as a comment. 16 hands, looking fishy, but not enough information. I'm definitely not going anywhere with that. What do I have about this guy? Type regular player. Is there anything more here? King Queen offsuit as well. I might as well, while I'm waiting, see what's going on here. Save that information. Go into that note area. We'll just add that additional information to what I've got there for if and when I meet these players again. I've found that there seem to be a lot of people that play poker all day. They don't necessarily make money, but they play a lot, and any information I can get on them in advance can help me, as you saw earlier, decide whether I want to play against them or not. I used to think ace-5 was a good hand because it's got that possibility, it's got the top card. I'm going to raise just because of position. I could well lose my 4 cents. I've got a pair of 5, so I've got middle pair. Wouldn't be surprised if no one's got anything with that 8. This person does play a lot of hands, in this case they're not. This is a semi-bluff, because I could have clubs for all anyone knows. Okay, and he could have clubs as well. I'm out of here. We're not going to find out. Not going to play that. I've got a regular who's 3-bet in early position. This person's getting fairly aggressive here. As you can see there, they're playing a lot of hands. They're pretty much playing like a loose fish. I don't believe they're getting good hands all the time, but since they've been at this table, they've won 22% of hands, which is pretty good. And it's aggression that's doing that. But we also have a grinder up here, and they're bet pretty big, so this person, whoa, look at that. I wonder if they know that the other player is a grinder. So, lost to the flush. They had a reasonably good hand, good chance. 10 jack is a good or the best potential hand for a straight draw. Being in the middle, it can go either way. I don't think they're particularly happy with that hand, and they've left the table. I guess they've decided that the competition's a little bit too tough. We've lost 2 players now. We might see a little bit of tight playing for a few hands. Didn't I just have that? Definitely not playing that in the big blind. So we'll see what happens now. Whether the texture of the table again is going to change. We're down to the small blind. He's playing a few hands. He may just fold if he doesn't have a good hand, because he can then focus on other tables. So I think you can get a bit of a handle here that Pokertracker is giving me some pretty good information on other players and helping me in my decision making. Now, if I didn't have Pokertracker for running here, I would be playing blind. If you're playing in a casino or a game in a bar or a hotel pub, you can look at the other players, you can talk to them, you can see what their body language is like and get an idea of whether they actually have a good hand or not. I've only bet here because this guy showed either weakness or a lack of interest. In this case, it was probably a lack of focus and a bad move on my part to bet, and I'm now going to fold and let them have a few of my chips. Okay, so we're on the small blind and we've got ace-10 suited. That's not bad. Let's see this Russian person here. Don't know anything about them except that they're not playing on other tables. We've got another new arrival here playing on one other table. I'm going to call him a grinder. It's pushing it a little bit, being 2 tables, but you don't know whether they're just joined and they're going to play more tables or not. Okay, so this person, what do we know about them? Not enough yet, but I'm going to go for a half a bet because, or half a pot, because there are only 2 more kings, so the odds of them having a king are pretty slim, and I'm happy with that. 8-9, don't like that, but I'm in position last to act, so at least I get to see what everyone else is going to do before I have to make my mind up. So I've got 2 grinders so far that are interested. I think I'll fold on that. Being off suited, it really isn't a premium hand, and I don't know what the blinds are going to do yet. So I often don't look at what my cards were because they really have no relevance anymore, because I made a correct decision to not play them. And if you focus too much on whether you might have won on a random set of cards, that can put you on tilt. And I'm just again taking advantage of my late position here. It may not get me anywhere. It's not a great hand, but you need to take advantage of position. At least I'm going to know whether this person thinks they've got a hand or not. I'm going to put in a small bet because I don't believe in limping, and I've shown relative weakness, and he's going to take that off me. Some people will play king suited. Again, they're too far apart for me to have any interest in that, so we'll let them go. I'll put a link in my YouTube notes for this game and if you follow that link, it'll take you to Pokertracker 4, and if you want to give it a try with that link, disclaimer, it is an affiliate link, it makes no difference to what you pay, but I get a little something for my trouble, and if you think this has been helpful to you, then maybe that's worthwhile for you. You can try Pokertracker 4 for free for 30 days without making any commitment, and then decide whether it's worthwhile. This is only scratching the surface, and all I'm doing here is showing the heads up display. Once you've played a lot of hands on Pokertracker, it will do a lot more for you. There are lots of videos and training on how to look for leaks in your own game, because it's all very well to look at how other people play and their weaknesses, but you need to see where you sit. You need to play a lot of hands, many hundreds of hands, preferably thousands of hands, which you can of course easily do at low stakes for Pokertracker to get an idea of what your leaks are and whether you're above or below the sort of statistics that good players have. So I'm going to stop recording here now, and hopefully you've found this useful, and I'll welcome any comments if you'd like to leave any on this video. Thanks a lot, and I'll see you around.